I'm funny how? I be funny like I'm a clown.
Love that intro. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 5 of Sight and Sound Breakdown. Great show today, I think. Going to be very interesting. Maybe the two most unique, at least two of the most unique entries on the list for very different reasons. So we're going to see how this conversation goes. This may be our shortest episode, maybe our longest, depending on how much juice we can squeeze out of the berry. We only have 2 entries we're talking about tonight. And again, for 2 very different reasons. But before we get to those, let's talk to the panel. Payson, I'll start with you. One of my co-hosts here, regularly on the show. This is one we've been waiting for, anticipating, dreading. What are your thoughts going to this episode?
Yeah, going into the episode, I was very happy that this episode coincided with me having a long break from work, so had a lot of days off. To spoil something, when I saw these movies on the list, one of the movies coming up, I was like, okay, here we go. I feel like this is like a cinephile checklist in a way, and I'm happy that the show gave me a reason to finally check off that box on my watch list.
All right. Below me, my other co-host, again, Bar, this is one we knew was coming. We'd have to handle eventually, and now we can say we've done it. How you feeling about it?
First of all, I can't believe you told me to below you. Okay. I'm just glad to get this out of the way. I can't believe that there's something coming up that's even longer than one of these.
Yes. Longest movie so far.
So far.
And returning to the show, we knew for this one, I said we need somebody who could handle the assignment. And so we went and we brought back Jacoby. Jacoby, thank you. I'm sorry. How you feel about being on this week's episode, or this month's episode?
I am very happy to be asked to be on the show, so I'm very thrilled for that. And I'm happy to discover, it seems like so far, that this was not a trick. That, like, for a minute, like, I was thinking, like, I was going to watch this movie that we're going to be discussing, and then I was going to get on this panel. Then you're like, psych, none of us watched it. This was a joke on you. Ha ha. So I'm happy to seem like that's not the case. But anyway, I'm decided to have a discussion about it, and because it's going to be probably fascinating. For something
the joke's on you. Only one of us watched it, and you have to guess which one it is.
Which one it is. I have to say, you guys are going to give me the plot description. Like, yeah, you definitely watched it. You did not. You did. Okay, I see. You'll try to trick me too. It's like, hey, I love the part with like the balloon flying over the sky, right? I'm like, was that in the movie or not? I don't know.
I'm going to pitch that to the video store.
That's a great
idea. That's a great idea for.
That would be such a great average show. It's like, hey, you want to come on our episode 6 of our show? We're watching this movie, and it's like you'll see who actually watches the shows. For everything, it'd be great. Anyways, yes, excited to be here. Excited to be here with you, gents.
All right, well, thank you all for being here. We're teasing.
Oh, what are we teasing?
What? What are we teasing, Kirk?
The anticipation is killing me. I hope
that's the price of sitting outside in a beautiful summer day, sucker.
Before we get to that, there's one other entry in the list we're going to talk about. We're still in the 78s. Both of today's entries are tied with several other movies for number 78. We're going to talk about first. I asked my French teacher wife how to pronounce this. I'm only going to try to pronounce it once right. So here we go. It is Histoire de Cinéma. Not great, but as close as I'm going to get. So this is directed by Jean-Luc Godard. It was completed and first seen in 1988. A lot of time around it, before it, after it. Out of France, Italy in 2012. This was the number 48 ranked entry on the list. I keep saying entry, not movie, because it's not a movie. It's a documentary miniseries for TV. and I looked closely. I tried to find theatrical releases. I think the first couple of entries were filmed at Cannes. The first 2 episodes of the show, but it was produced for TV, commissioned for TV, so it's a TV show. Somehow it ends up on this movie list, so we have to talk about it. We don't have to watch it, which and I'll just put it out there, we did not. I don't think unless somebody's going to surprise me, we did not watch this because it's like 8 hours, 9 hours of I think like 10 episodes, something like that.
Which you can't even find.
Yeah, our number one excuse is that it's not available anywhere.
That's why, for sure.
Yeah. Our number 2 excuse is it's not a movie. Honestly, I swear, anybody who knows me knows how I feel about this. Like, there's a dichotomy here
about the pedantic stuff. Like,
yeah. TV, movie, and I swear to God, when I started this show, I'm not familiar with everything on the list. I had a lot of stuff I haven't seen, a lot of stuff I didn't know. If I would have known this was on what this was, I would have went through. They give you when you go on the website, they show you everybody who voted for each entry. I'd have found every person who voted for this and recalculated the list, taking their votes off. Because if you're going to vote TV show for a movie list, you shouldn't be voting on the movie list. That said, I got my rant out. What we did, we watched a few YouTube videos, and basically what this is. It's a Jean-Luc Godard. It's a video essay of his personal experience through film. It's clips of movies, stills from movies, music from movies, quotes from movies that he kind of pieced together and made this kind of like esoteric thing. So everybody else, the little bit that we got to see, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'll start. In theory, the idea of Jean-Luc Godard making a documentary about the history of cinema, specifically that of French New Wave and Italian neorealism, that sounds super interesting, and I'm very happy it exists. Some people might not know this. Jean-Luc Godard started out his career before he became a director as a film critic, so he has a very analytical mind. So I think it is really cool that someone of his stature decided to make something like this. Honestly, if this was available for me to watch, I was half considering trolling everyone and like watching the whole thing, but I could not find it anywhere, so I couldn't find it either. But yeah, from what I saw on YouTube, unfortunately, a lot of it there are no subtitles to it, so I couldn't really understand it. But like everything I was seeing, I was like, this seems like it would be a lot like this has some nice information. But yeah, I am of the same mind as Kirk, as I do not view I do not say movies and TV are different to like demean TV. I think there is excellent TV, but it is different. Like Twin Peaks is my favorite TV show, but I would never consider Twin Peaks as a movie, as some people do. I love like Band of Brothers is one of the best like pieces of art I think of the 21st century, but it's a miniseries. It's not a movie, and I think when you're talking about the greatest movies, I think I think you look a little when you put something like this on the list personally, and I just don't think you have like there is really no reason to be like. It reminds me of on the internet in the 2010s when like video games were becoming really cinematic. People were like, "Oh, is Heavy Rain one of the best video games of this year? Is Metal Gear Solid 4 one of the best movies of this year?" And I was just like, guys, it's a different art form. It's a really great piece of its art form. Saying that it's a movie, I think, kind of demeans the art form of video games and TV, and that is my personal standpoint on this.
As somebody who does not play video games, sure.
Okay.
I agree. Like it's not really a movie, and it's kind of weird for its inclusion on there. I think I would like in theory what it has to say about the medium itself, and I think that's very fascinating. But the fact that this is so long, and the video package that you were kind enough to send over, Kirk, like the very first line of the first video is just like, "Did you know photography could have been invented in color?" But then like the morality of the stripe of life was stripped away. I was like, after that 30 seconds, I'm like, I get the vibe. I get it. I don't need to watch 8 hours of that. So I was like, but that's deep. But it's like, it's an interesting idea. It felt like he was going to be asking interesting questions. Just a weird inclusion. on it. So, it'd be cool to check out in parts one day. If this was one movie, an actual movie, and it was like 8 hours like this and formatted differently, I think I would go crazy. But if this was a documentary series somewhere, might be interesting on a week-to-week basis. But I don't know.
The fucking French, man.
The French.
Like, you fucks put this on the list. Don't tell me you didn't. And you put this on. But the Umbrellas of Cherbourg. No! Anything by Jacques Demy. Nah. But Godard doing a TV show? We don't care if it's TV. We're going to put it on this fucking list.
Yeah, good. I agree. I want to say I agree with Payson. Sorry. I agree with Payson. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, TV is like, inferior or whatever. Like, it is like the little bit I watch, like, this is very interesting. I don't know, like, I don't know. I'll get into that, but it looks like a great piece of art. But it's a great piece of television art. It's not a great piece of, and I understand completely. This is a list compiled by critics, and I can see why like really pretentious film critics were like, "Oh yes, we need to include this. This is so important."
The art, the history of the cinema.
Exactly, and so I can see why they would include that. I don't know. Is it on the? I have to double check if it's on the director's list or not. That'd be interesting to check out. But I just feel like. I mean, it's just like I said. It's why would you put this on? Like when you're thinking of the top 100 movies, like great TV. Like there's a lot of great art about movies. Like there's great books about movies. There's great TV shows about movies, but that really explore the medium. But that doesn't make it a movie.
You know what, Kurt? That's a good point. If we ever we have just begotten like voting rights for the next Sight and Sound one. I'm going to put making pictures or making movies by Sidney Lumet on this list.
Why not? Yeah,
sure. Yeah, we're opening the floodgates.
I'm currently reading a book on Paul Thomas Anderson's on all of his movies. What if I just put that on the list?
There you go. I'm sorry,
Jacoby, I want my Breakfast at Tiffany's poster. On
yeah, there you go. Well, I was just curious, overall, because it's like I know Jean-Luc Godard as a name and as a person, and and as a figure itself. But like, if I'm looking through, I don't know if I've actually seen a Jean-Luc Godard film. If I'm being honest with you, like before this, is there another one that should have been on here, like for his that would have represented more of or what he's trying to do than not? Like, I don't know if something else is better representative here, or if this is just all him all the time.
No, there are quite a few Godard films on the list. Last week we talked about Hero, which is a movie I absolutely adored, and Breathless obviously coming up. So Jean-Luc Godard is not like this is not like the only representation of him. This list, the critics very much know Jean-Luc Godard is like one of the more important filmmakers of all time, and he is very much included on this list.
So this is just like if they added, like if David Lynch appears 3 times, but they also throw in Twin Peaks: The Return, but also like with Blue Velvet and Mulholland Drive on there, and they throw in The Return on there too. It's them doing that. Okay.
And what's crazy is like this is such like a, for lack of a better term, artsy piece. It's like if you ever go to like an art museum and there's like a martial arts section and they have like one of those movies that just run on the wall in like a dark room all day. Yeah. That's what this looks like. It's like one of those pieces. It's not like sitting down and talking head interviews. It's like all just images and like him waxing poetic about film.
This is probably in like the Academy Museum in that regard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
there is a Academy Museum where it is just like 3 individual like side pieces, and it's just running films like this. You could totally see this as like one of the movies that is just constantly on repeat, or one of the series is constantly on repeat.
I was about to say, don't you join them and call this a movie.
But this is
from the call.
But this is I think, in relation to that, Godard's movies generally, I haven't seen a ton of them. What I've seen the more popular ones. They're pretty accessible. They're not real like super high art heady movies that you have to put a ton of thought into. They're pretty much, like Pierre LaFleur we watched last time. There's some artsy like new wave stuff in there, but I think like like Breathless is just a pretty standard crime movie, And
at the time, movies were like lauded for people being like, oh, what are these edits? These are the weirdest thing in the world. But in like 2025, like I think if you are a fan of movies, like I'm not saying you have to love his films, but I think you should be able to like piece together what he's doing, if that makes sense.
Right.
I think too, like enough movies now have been influenced by what he's done that it's easier for us to go back now and watch them and recognize a lot of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating.
I just checked I just checked the director's list. This does not make their list. Satantango does make their list, but this one does not.
It makes that makes a lot of sense. I see the directors really getting excited about this one. Okay, before we choose whether or not this makes our list, does anybody else have anything they want to cover about this one?
I just want to reiterate, like I'm not trying to speak down on TV. In fact, I think including this, in my opinion, kind of speaks down on the art form of TV as is. Like I prefer movies to TV, but I don't think saying like, oh, a TV show is so good, I'm gonna call it a movie. I think that's kind of a weird, like, it would be like if I had the best burger of my life and said, dude, this is an incredible steak. It's like, no, a burger is a burger, a steak is a steak. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Okay, so what we'll do is
No, I'm not even doing the side thing. I'm not even doing the side thing.
Have some suspense, Bar. You know, you never know. Maybe this conversation convinced you. We don't know. Like
we'll go 1, 2, 3. So I think
it's an X. I'm not going to judge it.
Disqualified from contention. No, I think again, like I said, if we were doing top, like, long form TV projects of all time, let's talk about it. I think that'd be awesome. But I think just for what we're talking about here, it doesn't make a lot of sense for it to be here.
I do think it's also super funny to compare it to what we're about to talk about, which is also just like really long, but also episodic in a way. Kind of interesting. Yeah.
Exactly. So moving on to the main event tonight, the only movie we're going to talk about this evening. Also looked up the pronunciation on this. English translation is Satan's Tango, or Tango Satan. In Hungarian, it's pronounced Satantango. This is tied for number 78, directed by Belatar, out of Hungary, Germany, and Switzerland. And in 2012, this was the number 36, so dropping about 40 spaces, but still a strong showing. So for those of you who are not familiar with this film, it is 7 hours and 20 minutes long. So all four of us did watch this, I believe. We powered through. I appreciate everybody doing that. So before we talk about the movie itself, just real quick, had anybody seen it before?
That would be wild.
And is this the longest movie that everyone's ever seen?
I think, yeah.
No, it is definitely the longest movie.
It broke
Obviously broke Bar.
It broke his braid.
So what I want to do before we discuss the movie itself, I want to discuss how we approach this. How do you sit down and digest the movie this long? Because it's obviously something we've none of us ever tried to before. And for anybody watching who may be interested, because again, that's one of the reasons why I never watched it. It popped up on Criterion Channel about a year or so ago, and I wanted to, just because it's it's like Payson said earlier, you want to, this is when you want to check off the list eventually. So I Googled how do I watch this movie? What's the best way to do it? I really couldn't find anything. So that was one of the things, not just the intimidation of the time, but how do I digest this? So just want to ask you guys, and anybody can start. How did you approach this? How did you break it down? How did you kind of maintain focus through the whole time? Try and keep it coherent in your brain. What was your plan of action?
We had about I want to say almost a month between setting up the room for this and recording this. So I decided that in order to keep myself sane, I was going to watch it in half-hour increments every day.
Interesting.
Which mostly worked. Because for some reason, like near the half-hour point at least would always be like a good stopping point. Granted, it's broken down into like multiple like sections. The first half of this movie is like 3 separate stories almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the second half of the movie is pretty much just like the full continuation. So that did make the second half a little bit harder to do with. But that was my plan of attack.
Okay.
Yeah, my plan, what I had planned to do, because again, we had a month to it. I was like, okay, 7.5 hours. What I'm going to do at my work when I'm there in the office, it's like my lunch break, my hour lunch break. I was going to watch it on an hour each lunch, I can like do that. And I watched it one of the first days I tried that, I watched it for the full hour, and I was just like, oh, I need something else. And then I watched the last 10 minutes of Whiplash to give me like an adrenaline jolt, just after I watched that. And then I did not. Then I watched another hour the next day on my lunch break there. And then that wasn't working. And then I stopped for a bit. And then over this past, week and a half ago, I think I spent a total of 3 nights, varying lengths of when I was available, watching the rest of it in chunks. So I had about over three nights to do about 5-ish hours or so of it. And it was interesting to get it, to be honest, like doing your approach of 30 minutes every day for like a long time. That seems like a lot of just like, I don't know, melancholy for like a little taste every day. I needed it front loaded all at once and like in certain sections to really, I guess, absorb it and really get the feel of it. And it worked too. I would say like halfway through or so, it's like, I'm in it now, like I'm absorbing everything here, but that's why I had to do it in chunks.
With literally the first section of this movie, like before they cut to the next title card, the melancholy wasn't there. We'll get to that, but like,
yeah,
the first section of this movie I thought was going to be a completely different movie.
Yeah, I basically had the same thing. I was going to try to be similar to Jacoby, where I get, no matter how many, if we're watching 4 or 5 movies, I try to watch them all as close to the recording time as possible, just so it's fresh in my mind. So I was like about a week and a half before I'll get started and stuff. That obviously stuff comes up and it doesn't work out that way. So about 5 or 6 days ago, I started on it. And I was going to do like the lunch thing with like Jacoby did, and that just was like too short for me.
I'm sorry.
I needed a little bit bigger chunk, so like I started watching. Okay, I'll do like maybe an hour or so a day, and it just again, as life happens, you get it what you can. And then yesterday, the day before we're recording here, I was like, I thought we're recording on a Sunday. And I'm like, I thought up until yesterday we were recording Wednesday. So like, I got like 4 more days to take care of this. Yeah. And then I had like 3.5 hours left. And then I looked at the schedule, like, oh crap, we're this tomorrow night. So I just kind of bang it out these last 2 days, which we'll talk about wasn't like the worst thing in the world. Sure. But I think for me personally, that really helps me. Because I honestly, if I had broken it down too much, by the end of the movie, I would have no recollection of what happened at the beginning. And I think this is a movie where stuff kind of ties together and you got to keep up. So that was probably the best for me, that I watch it in bigger chunks like that.
And what about you, Payson? How did you do this?
I did what the young people call taking one for the team. Kurt said he wanted one person to watch it all in one chunk, or at least all in one day. So I said, you know what? I don't feel like I'm going to get the full experience of this if I don't just watch it all in one day. So I said, you know what? I have a free day on a Wednesday. I'm doing nothing. Why not I just spend 7 hours that day doing it? Now, looking up online, when this movie is presented in theaters, they usually do 2 breaks with it. So I said, you know what? That will be my time to go and get food. So I watched till the first break. I went to Little Caesars and I got the Fantastic Four 4-in-1 pizza. Nice. In fact, I actually went to check the dumpster of my apartment complex, and I believe the pizza box is still. Yeah, so I might go and check to see if I can grab that pizza box. And then
Just to see if there's any extra slices in there that I forgot about.
I ate all that. And then the second one, I'm craving some mozzarella sticks. I'm just going to drive over to Sonic. So Bellatar, I paired it with Little Caesars and Sonic. And
what he would have wanted. I think that captures the vibe of it pretty well. Yeah.
Just the
and I will say,
cheese.
This is a lot
like the
of
Bella Tartar Tots or something. Is that like the tie-in food? Yeah.
No, but on my
topping off a little Bella tartar sauce.
Yeah. I rarely ever do this. I did not give this movie a rating when I finished watching it. I just logged it on Letterboxd and I just gave the review of I did it. And I think that very much gives a nice summary of my thoughts with this movie, which I do have a lot of.
All right. Well, I think I'll be interested as we talk about to see how we consumed it may affect our view of the movie. But yeah, it is. Now, let me do this. Somebody want to tell me what this movie is about?
I will.
Okay.
This is a post-war film set in Hungary, and it is about the fall of socialism and the fall of communism. In Hungary, it is about this one person who is presumed dead, showing up in the village and how he sort of affects the lives of all these characters. There is another revolution that is going on, and this character is sort of spoilers, I guess. You learn this fairly early on. They are an informant for the police, and they are trying to stop this revolution. And you just see how these characters' lives are being affected by the fall of socialism.
Yeah. I wrote down my initial thoughts because, again, going into this, like, okay, I'm preparing myself. So the opening scene is 8 minutes of cows.
Yeah.
And it looks great. But it's
cows mating.
Yeah.
Just cows
mating. Yeah, cows mating and cow. Yeah. So I started to have a little bit of a panic attack because my brain went,
I knew
oh my God, this movie's just going to be 7 hours of these cows. Oh no. And so, but then I kind of like calmed myself down. I took a few deep breaths and like, I kind of just like let it like wash over me. And like okay, it's going to be this, it's going to be slow. It's going to be, whatever it's going to be. Like I said, right out of the gate, the movie looks fantastic. So I'm like, I'm just going to kind of enjoy this and appreciate it for what it is. And then the second scene started. And you find out there's a little bit of a story. And I'm like, okay. And then there's, I find out it's maybe like a crime story. They're
That's
talking
what I was
about
thinking
money.
too.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
okay.
Okay. Because the one thing I did not expect this movie to do was intrigue me. I was worried about making this the only movie of the episode because I'm like, we're going to sit here for 7 hours and there's going to be nothing to talk about because nothing's going to happen.
But
it's going to be some indecipherable metaphor for the Bolshevik Revolution or something. None of us are going to understand it. None of us are going to grasp anything. And we're just going to sit here and stare at each other. So I was really excited. I'm like, oh, something's actually going to happen here. And like Payson said, it's about these characters who are, and then you get, because it starts out right away, there's this warning that they have these plans that what they're going to do. And then this guy's coming back and he's a big figure in their lives that they're all afraid of for whatever reason. And then you just go from there. And like I said, I do think this movie contains some like purposeful pretension. Like I think like it lingers on a scene for 3 minutes when
there's one scene
15 seconds would have been enough. And I feel like what's that?
The moment I started to feel that was when you have a character just counting money and you just see how meticulous it is of just like, okay, $1 for you, $1 for me, $1 for you.
Yeah.
And that's like, okay, this is how we're gonna earn this movie's runtime. Oh boy, let's see how this goes.
What scene were you talking about? What scene were you talking about, Bar?
The scene I was going to talk about is like there's a 10 to 12 minute scene of just them dancing in a bar.
Yeah.
Like,
but that's such a that's like the linchpin of like, because that's like such a pivotal like meeting point of all like the different stories that's like happening. That's so fascinating. But
right, it's like, did it have to be 10 to 12 minutes?
It's also the most action you get in the entire movie.
Yeah, that's true. That is actually the most exciting. But like, It's so crazy. Those long shots that are like purposely so long and pretentious, but then it's like successful in like getting you into the mindset of like these characters, because like it fully gets you into thinking like what these characters are kind of thinking and like the mundanity of like their lives and their lack of purpose everywhere. It was so funny. I kept thinking of like, and Payson, you're like in Blank Check, they all Griffin brings up like the Roger and Ebert battle between Good Burger and whether Good Burger is a good movie or a bad movie, because it's good because it sets out exactly what it wants to do, or is it bad because what it's doing is bad? Like, and so I kept thinking of that during this movie, of just like, do I enjoy this? It's like, no, but is it successfully fully immersing me into this world and its characters through its really long shots and making me feel exactly how these characters do? Like, maybe, like, I don't know. That's
Two
wild.
things. Two things. A, that's a thing. And B, talking about Good Burger is not the metaphor I was expecting to talk about in this episode.
Oh, there's a ton of these.
The biggest argument of Good Burger between Siskel and Ebert is I
Siskel and Ebert.
Ebert's Siskel says he thinks the character in Good Burger are so stupid, and Ebert says, well, no, they're not stupid. They saved the day at the end. They solved the crime. So you literally cannot call them stupid. And then Siskel is like, yeah, but the way they're presented, they're stupid. And Ebert's like, you are being so disrespectful to this movie. They clearly are not stupid. They are doing everything. And like Jacoby said, it is a great like dichotomy of like what a movie is intending to do versus is that intention important. I think that's a really funny way to look at.
And that's this movie.
We just freaking mentioned Good Burger in the same conversation as Satantango, and I just think this is why you watch Titantown Breakdown.
I have another one too. In that scene where Aramis is like talking to the sheriff, and he's like doing the plan, and the sheriff's like, "You should get a job. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're a lazy bum." I was like, "This is just like Big Lebowski. Like, this is Lebowski talking to the sheriff there, doing all that stuff." Like, man, this movie has influence everywhere.
I'm not gonna lie. The moment that he first popped up on screen, I was like, who is this guy that looks like a blend between Jay and Silent Bob?
Well, I'll say before we move on though, I will say this about the longer takes, like the longer, like just like the camera just holding on certain things for a long time. That actually helped me with the runtime. Because everything looked great. There's so many scenes and frames in this where, like, I mean, that scene where the two of them are walking down the alley and the wind's blowing and all that stuff just blowing in front of them.
Yes.
And like, and that scene takes forever, but just you don't want to take your eyes off it. So I think that helps, and B, I think it's done in such a way where even you may be looking at something static. Everything that's happened that led up to that has your attention enough where, like, okay, I'm watching because I want to know what happens next, what's going to break this, what is what's the point of this. And that helped me with the runtime, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, I'm just staring at a wall or a person or something, and I'm okay, and I'm still intrigued, I'm still invested, I'm still engaged, and then it ends, and I'm like, oh wow, that was 25 minutes, and like I'm not bored, I feel like I was actually engaged with something. But that sucked up a huge chunk of the runtime. So I'll compare this. I watched I think last year, sometime maybe a year before, I watched is it the Reckmeyer? I forgot the Reckmeyer Harmonies, Tar's other movie. I forget how to pronounce that. And that one is less. I think that one is close to 3 hours. And I was more bored watching that than I was watching this, because that is a movie that is more just, here's a shot to look at for the sake of looking at it. And that's me saying that, what do I know? There may be as much, I'm sure there's as much intention here, but I think this movie pulls it off so much better, where, even though there's not much happening on screen, you've been pulled in enough that you care enough, that you want to see what happens next. And you want to see what's going to be important to break enough to break this, which I think is really cool.
Was that movie in black and white, the other one?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, never mind.
That was called the Berkmeister Harmonies.
Okay, all right, yeah.
You were close. A for effort for
Thank you.
pronunciation. I agree with those long there was something like enthralling sort of about them. It was funny. Like as I was watching, I think in one of the scenes, I think it's like the girl holding the cat, and like you hold on that for quite a long time. I'm watching it, and I'm sitting there, I'm just kind of staring off, and then my wife, who could kind of see the screen, is like from far away. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Why'd you pause the movie?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "I didn't pause it. This is the movie." And she's like, "Oh, okay."
There were countless times I thought my feet froze, and I was just like,
"Yeah, that's what
going."
I watched some of it like in a spot where like I didn't have really good internet, and my like anytime I watch a movie there anyway, like it freezes. So I like had to keep like hitting the screen to get the timer to come up to see if it was frozen or if just no one was moving.
Yeah, some of these shots are just like they're absolutely stunning to watch. I was like half pet and half. It would work. Like sometimes I was like enthralled by it, like you guys were saying, like the scene with like the horses just like after they got loose.
Oh, is that horse going to come back on the screen? Oh, where's that white? Oh, it's back!
Baby.
It's back, baby!
Oh, baby! There was also like one shot of like the doctor in the forest as like these two people are walking by, and just like the way it looked, almost like it was animated. I was like, that just absolutely incredible. And then there were other times where it was like the rest of the villagers walking to the manor, and after a while, I was just kind of like, okay,
yeah,
speed it up a little bit. I know that y'all are slow, but like, do we have to?
Those scenes are so interesting, like the ones that are just like long, like 1 point, right? Like walking to a place. But then there are other long scenes that like I was really impressed in terms of just like I will never see something like this in a movie before. It's like there's one scene, the shopkeep or whatever, the barkeep guy, when he comes and he wrecks his whole bar, right? Like, or like he's like trashing stuff, and we see him trash it all. But then in the same sort of shot, we see him pick everything back up, like kind of clean up all that. And that sort of like breakdown, clean up is the sort of like action consequence that like we would never see in any other piece, or at least that I've never seen before. I'm just like, I'm doing watch something so mundane, but in movie form, it's kind of fascinating. Like it's something new and fresh, which is crazy for a movie,
Jacoby, get ready for the #1 film on this list because it's all that, and it's
God,
that's on my list too. I'd to watch at some point. Very interesting.
That one's only a measly 3 hours, so we should be okay.
I feel like after this one, anything is golden, right? It's just like easy. I can power that. Like,
and somewhere off in the distance, Cody Newberry threw a rock at a window.
That's fair.
So, Jacoby talked a little bit about the way the movie's paced. I did a little research on the novel this is based on. And first of all, they said the novel is written in a way where the chapters, nothing, they say everything in the movie, or everything that's in the novel is presented in the movie. Nothing's left out. And the chapters in the movie coincide with the chapters in the book. And the book is written, the chapters are written in unbroken paragraphs, just basically walls of text. And if you notice the opening and closing credits, the way they were written, how everything was just kind of clumped together like run-on sentences. They weren't like individual lines. I think that was done to kind of like as a nod to that. But I think that really makes you understand, first of all, the way the story is told. Second of all, the way the movie is, the book is written there for the way the story is made, or the movie is made. The tango part of it actually plays a big part. It's based on the steps of a tango, which is 6 steps forward, 6 steps back. And I wish I would have known that before I watched it, because I feel like that would have informed the way that, because it does feel like, okay, the story's progressing, and then it kind of just stops. And then like nothing happens for a while. And then, okay, story progresses. So you kind of get that sense of it where it is like, okay, we're moving forward. Now we're stopping and backing up. And I just thought that was really interesting to see how closely, not only, story-wise, but, pacing and thematically it followed the book.
That is actually super interesting, because that does, like, I think a big thing that makes this movie so interesting is, like, you will often rev up to what you think is going to be, like, this big scene. And you sometimes hit that, but sometimes it'll just, like right when you think we're about to hit a climax, new title card comes up and it says, okay, now we're going to jump to this. And we're like, oh, we're going somewhere else. And now we're with a completely different character, now seeing it from their perspective. And yet, just now thinking about this movie as it's like being presented like a tango, I think that is a really unique way to look at it. Something that
As
bars
someone who knows how to tango, I'm not sure, to be honest.
I did not know you were such a skilled foot mathematician, Bar.
I took ballroom classes.
Ooh,
Nice.
nice.
Yeah, I thought this was known about me.
How'd you for their dance scene though? So do you have any critiques or notes or for like how they dance? Like where you're like
Sharper motions.
Okay.
Sharper movements.
Sharper motions. Yeah.
I am not gonna lie. Part of this movie, like the scenes with the doctor in particular, I didn't necessarily love. However,
That's fascinating to me, to be honest.
anytime Iramas was on screen, my eyes were glued to it. His performance in particular is so effing good. Like, just the way that he's looking at everybody as he's delivering that one giant monologue at the funeral, I'm just like, this dude is locked in. And, like, there's a lot of fantastic monologues in this movie. The one from the police officer, like the sheriff or the deputy or whatever he was, absolutely incredible stuff. But anytime this guy in particular was on screen, like, I just wanted more of his character.
Let me clarify real quick. The character we're talking about now is the character that Pacey referred to, like the main person the story revolves around, where he's coming back to the village and everybody kind of has to like prepare for his coming.
I just want to see him eating bean soup.
So what you're saying, Bars, if he would say it's like, hey, you got to follow me and do all this, you would do it in a heartbeat, is what you're saying.
Oh, hell no.
One of those
No. I'm no sucker.
Well, I do want to talk about that though, because this character, it's interesting, and I wasn't sure if I just wasn't getting it or if this is the interpretation I'm supposed to have. They built him up so much. At first, you think there may be some kind of like supernatural aspect of the story because they're talking about the power he has over everybody and how he's magic, and they refer to say how he's, he's like a god. And then he shows up, and he's just kind of a guy. And I mean, let me ask you this: is he supposed to be just like a windbag, just somebody who talks to hear himself talk?
The way that I interpret it's like he really isn't that like I get his performance is great, but like is he as charismatic and enthralling as like people make him out to be? No, but it's just that these people have nothing else because their society has sort of collapsed. So anybody, I thought to me that was the point of just like anybody could come into like, hey, do this, and they're going to be, because they have no direction, they have no like purpose, they have nothing, so they're just going to be like, okay, like I guess we got to do that now. So that's why I saw him as more of a windbag in that, as opposed to like a actual convincing person, compared to like the state of what they're in right now and how easy it is to manipulate a people that's so broken down. Like that's how I thought.
Because like in that monologue I was referring to earlier, at a point he starts to veer off from the point that he was even making, but everyone else is still listening to him because like a tragedy happened in the town and they need somebody to listen to.
Once again, just really funny movies to compare this to. This feels like a more depressing version of The Music Man, where The Music Man.
I was literally going to compare him to Henry Hill.
More Marge versus the monorail, is what
you have this town of people that are like easily like persuaded and are just like looking for something to follow, and here comes this guy who is clearly like not what he's saying he is, but he's a really great talker, and he is somehow able to just get these people on his side. And like Bar says, every time Iramas is on screen, that was my favorite part. My favorite scene in this movie is where you have just this long walk of Iramas and the character's name is Patrina, his friend, and they're just walking to village. During this walk, they come across one of their other younger friends, Samuel, and they're just talking about just like the state of Hungary at this time, like what it means to live, what it means to be a person. And like every time we are in this, I was like, this is where Bellatar is cooking the most for me, where it's just characters talking. You get to take in like the landscape of Hungary and this like gorgeous black and white cinematography. And yeah, those were definitely my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah,
I disagree. My favorite parts was watching that doctor fall down about 1,500 times. I really thought I was like, okay, this guy's dead. He dies here. It's like, nope, he's gonna get back up and keep going. Okay, he dies here. Nope, he's gonna get back up and keep going. Oh, he's gonna die in the forest overnight, because he fell down for the 15th time. Like, okay, no, he's gonna get up and keep going. I was like, this guy, I'm rooting for this guy now.
Yeah, and that last scene, spoilers, I guess, when he comes back and he finally has his bottle. I was like, good for him. He got his bottle.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. You got it.
I will say there is one scene that did make me just like violently uncomfortable. And it's because they use a real cat. That one scene where that kid is just like rolling around with that cat, and it is it is mad.
Yeah.
It does not like being there. And they hold on for it for so long, and like halfway through I'm like, that's not a stuffed animal. And this is like 1994.
Yeah. In Hungary.
I don't like the use of this cat. And then apparently they did shoot it with like a tranquilizer, basically, to put it to sleep to make it look like it was dead.
Yeah.
But you're just lingering on it, and you're just like, and it's just so uncomfortable. Like, I get it. It's supposed to feel uncomfortable considering what's happening or in that moment. But it was one of those moments where I'm like, I don't know if I'm ethically okay with what's happening here.
Go ahead.
Good. Well, I just say real quick that the thing that got me about it was at the end when like they stopped, it just kind of sitting there trying to drink out of that bowl, and like it's laying there, and I mean maybe they trained the cat really well, but like it's not moving its limbs, like it's like laying on its limbs as if they are broken. It's trying to move. Yeah. And so I'm like, I don't know what they did to that cat to get it to do
they
that.
tranquilized it.
Either that cat is a very great animal actor and deserves to be recognized for it, or
let's just say that. That's what they did.
Let's look at the positives. That cat.
There's always that when you're watching older movies and you see real animals and you're like, crud, what's going to happen? Like, apocalypse now. Don't look up what actually happened with that cow. Spoiler alert. Everything you see on screen, but yeah, like I'm looking up what happened with that cat right now, and like watching that scene, I was like, something bad's gonna happen, and the second it did, I was like, gosh dang it, here we go.
But that's what's so that's where I'm conflicted the most, because it's like I would argue that that sequence with like her torturing the cat, and then I guess we're spoiling because we're talking about it, like happens in the movie where she drinks rat poison and kills herself, right? Like or she died. It's like that's to say like the cat torturing and little child dying is like the best part of the movie. It's dark, but I also think that that's like an effective part of the movie itself that like captures the destitute, depressive nature and the nihilistic sort of like, we have nothing else to do and I'm just going to do this. And like, so it's such a good embodiment of like the movie, but it's so tough to watch. But that's what makes it cool. Like not cool to watch, but makes it like good to watch, like compelling. So it's challenging, which kind of makes it interesting.
Yeah, looking it up online, what Barr said is completely correct. They did sedate the cat. That being said, sedating animals, there was always a bit of a risk. That is why it is discouraged in movies nowadays.
And that's just for the scene where it drinks from the milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't really when she's manhandling on that cat like pretty aggressively a lot.
They actually apparently did that with that cat multiple times before shooting that.
Yeah.
And that's crazy because it's like you think that like okay, and this is the trap that I fell into a lot while watching this movie. It's just like that this is a 1994 movie. Like it's crazy to me that this came out like like after like Die Hard, like like this is like exists like in that world. Like I kept thinking like this is a 50s movie, this is a 40s movie, like in a lot of capacities. So when it would do things that are like pretty modern or like speak in a modern tone, it threw me off. Like same like the handling of the cat was nuts to me. But
so I think ultimately I've talking about Isthmus and his character and everything. Like I love the scene where he, as Payson said, and it's not really a spoiler because it's kind of it happens at the beginning. He's informing on everybody for the police, and he's dictating a letter to the police. He starts out with this like real preamble. It's like real deep, getting like the nature of eternity and all these things, and that's all you hear on that side. When he's writing letters, you only hear that part of it. You don't read his actual report. And then towards the end of the movie, they show the police who have his letter, and they're entering it in his report.
Yeah.
And they're like, throw out the first thing it says, like, throw out all that stuff about eternity. Like that, get rid of all that. Like it just doesn't matter. I think like it's real cool just to see like the hierarchy of that society. But also I feel like there must have been like some kind of like religious or anti-religious themes, because it's kind of like this guy comes, like I said, they present him as, or they seem to have this attitude, the people in the village, that he's this all-powerful guy who can do whatever he wants, and they have to obey him, and he manipulates them in certain ways. And then you find out, like, you see the man behind the curtain, and there's really, not only is he not like helping them, but he really has like doesn't care about them, has very low opinions of them. So I think there was a lot of like those kind of ideas going on.
Yeah, and because I'm just uncultured, and to know about like the relationship between the fall of communism and especially the religion in that sort of area, and like how they kind of mesh and coincide. And I felt like if I was more knowledgeable on that, some of the stuff would like hit harder, or like I would understand a bit more, because it's like I have such a limited grasp of that region, that time period, that organizational sort of government side of thing. I was like, I'm not sure if I'm getting what I need to out of it. It's like where and
I had this like I wouldn't have known. Again, don't claim to be an expert on it now, but I really would have an idea, like the idea that they're on like a communal farm and like the talking about the estate and everything. I kind of had to read up on that just to get a basic understanding of what that meant, and where that money was coming from and things like that. So yeah, again, it is a movie where I've said this a lot so far in the series, but if having a better understanding of the time period and the politics and the culture they're happening then would definitely, make the movie more understandable, even though this is a pretty dense film no matter what. And they do. That's another thing. Like, I feel like a 7-hour movie, you could give us a little more. You know what I mean? Like, you got a lot of time. You can give us a little exposition. You can explain a little bit more to me as to who
this could be 8 hours.
Yeah. Well, when you hit the 7-hour mark, you're like, you know what? Just go to 8.
Just go to 8. I was really hoping, when I hit that 7-hour mark, I'm like, or like even the 6-hour mark, or like, please let there be an hour of credits, maybe. Yeah. Like I was hoping, like maybe we're gonna hit that, but who knows?
But I feel like for no, it's okay. For a movie this long, I felt like it ran a lot of times on like short film logic, where it's like
that's actually really
show up late, leave early. And it's like they were doing a lot of that, but I'm like, this is a long movie. And again, like I said, everything in the book is in the movie, so the movie or the book must be as vague as the movie is. But it's like
the book is this thick.
It's 320 pages. So
this thick.
Yeah, if you go by one page is a minute of screen time, then we're looking at 120 minutes is what, like a little over 5
Well, hold on. Don't forget, they're big run-on sentences. So this thick.
Yeah, you're right.
I hope so. Everything's in. I really hope the book goes more into like that scene of like when they're explaining everybody's dreams that they're having, like as they pan across. I love that. I was like, I hope the book goes into those more. I want to know what everybody's dreaming about.
They said most of the narrator's dialogue is taken directly from the book, but like it's like I don't think there's any line in the book was like, and then they looked out a window for 15 minutes. Like, I doubt there's a line in the movie that says that. So I feel like, again, getting back to my original point, like, I do feel like there is a little bit of, like, going into this, like, I'm going to make a 7.5-hour movie, and everybody's going to talk about my 7.5-hour movie. Like, I feel like there's a lot of that, but at the same time, I don't, like, it's that pretension is counterbalanced by a good story.
It kind of knows too, like that's what I felt like, because there's like it's like I don't want to say tongue in cheek for a movie like this, but it knows what it is, because there's scenes of like, I think the doctor was writing, it's like, I'm plotting along. Like, so it's like, it knows that it's a long movie getting us there, like, and everything. Or like even those moments where I thought there's like it veered into sort of creepy territory, like when Iramas and his friend, like when they heard like the noise or the drone, and then everybody stopped and they kind of just like looked at the camera, like for like as they're listening. It's like, are they checking in on us to make sure we're still watching? Or
once again, Jay and Silent Bob.
But it's like those moments like makes it like knows that its length is like part. It's like a feature, not a bug. Like of it, like it's like part of it that like adds to everything. Just fascinating.
One of the notes I put in my when I was watching the movie was closing in on the 5th hour of this film. It opens this 5th hour by doing a slow circle around a character's face, and then it immediately smash cuts to a character pissing on a wall. And I'm like, that kind of is the point of this movie. And it's always fun when you have a big auteur that's just like, you know what, I can have fun like this.
Yeah. Like it's like big, like it's that scene where they're all just staring, and then you pet over, that guy just pisses on the wall. That's hilarious. Right. Yeah. There had to be a sense of humor with that.
Yeah. Progressive for a movie to have 2 peeing scenes, I think. Or 3 peeing scenes. I think there was 3 total in the movie. We saw the doctor pee, we saw the guy peeing on the wall, we saw the woman pee at the beginning. So good for the movie.
Yep.
Something I think I wish they would have done more too is they did it like once or twice, where they did it with the doctor and the little girl, and they did it again at the end, where you had a scene happen, and then you had a character come in, and you realize like they're coming into that same scene that you just watched from a different angle.
Yeah.
And they did it a couple of times. I really wish they would have done that more, because I thought that was really interesting. And I think it would have been really cool just to see those different perspectives. And maybe it's very possible that it was happening, and it was just so subtle that I didn't realize it. But I think it would have been really cool to just see those different perspectives over that same period of time from the different characters, especially when it comes to Aramis showing up. I feel like it's kind of choppy how, they're talking about him, we get a scene with him, and then he's just there. I would like seeing a little more progression towards that.
Yeah, me too. Especially like the impact. Like, I didn't understand if I was supposed to get more of the impact, because it's like we see the doctor fail to, like, the girl interacts with the doctor while he's walking, and he yells at her and he runs away, and then he's not quick enough to be like, hey, wait, I'm actually sorry, like for that. Yeah. And then she runs off, and then we see the rest of his scene. But then on her scene, we see like, he yells at her, she runs away. And it's like, I'm not saying that's what caused her to like be as depressed, but like if he was a little faster, then maybe she wouldn't have done what she did type of thing. Like if they interacted more. I didn't know if we were supposed to like really make the connection between like these characters' actions affecting one another in like some cosmic way or not. And I wish or maybe I'm just, not smart enough to understand it as much, but like, I don't know. I thought those points of intersection could have been more interesting.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
I guess I like it. I was just going through my notes and like other movies and things I'd like. I guess we already mentioned Jay and Silent Bob, Good Burger, and other things. I like the bit of Evil Dead sort of film, like when it's going through the forest a little bit, like with the wind. I saw that one. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm sure that was totally intentional. And I love the score when the rain is pouring down on the steps outside. And it's like a jazz piano orchestra. Yeah, that was one of the long shots that I enjoyed.
Well, the rain and like how we use as weather, it gave me vibes of like Kurosawa movies, of just like how those movies just so ethereal with how they use their weather, and I just thought that was a cool connection.
And I just really feel like there's like, I noticed a lot of like the animal, and I feel like this is a literary breakdown more than a movie, but I mean it's basically a book pulled from the pages. So, but like the use of animals, like I think like because you had like the herd of the cows at the beginning. And then you have at the end, you have the people, like they were kind of like herded off. And then like the pigs, just seeing the pigs everywhere. And later on, they're compared to pigs. And you have that mangy dog walking around. So I think that was and I noticed the scenes that didn't have animals, like kind of stood out to me, because there were a few that didn't, but it seemed like every little segment had like some kind of animal that represented something in that scene or something further on down the ride.
I feel like towards the end where it starts showing the shots of like the owl, and it's just a single owl just like watching everyone. I thought that was like representing like, hey, Iramasa is kind of like the owl, just like stalking the night and just like trying to think like he's able to see everyone and we can't see him for what he is.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. I didn't think about the animals one bit, but after you say, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So cool. Glad we're having this discussion and this breakdown.
This is obviously a lot more notes I usually take because there's a lot. Because I was like, I'm going to lock in here and I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to look for symbolism because I know a 7-hour movie. There's going to be a lot of it. I'm going to look for it. But yeah, and I think just the cam work, not just like the bigger, like stuff, we're talking a lot about the bigger scopes, like the scenes with them walking and the outdoor stuff. But I feel like a lot of like the tighter shots, like the more character based, interior shots, the way they block those were really good. This first couple scenes, you'd have one person and then the next person come in and the third, and then it was very flawless. Talking about being like a dance, like the way people would move in and out of camera, I think was just really well done.
I agree. I haven't noted that too. Just the two people talking, and then like I don't know these characters' names. I wrote some of them down. But like the way that one person would be like right here for the camera is like, okay, that's great. Yeah. Good directing. Good job. Good job.
Yeah. Mr. Like I said, it was long, but it was never got boring to me. At least not to look at. Like visually, never. I was always intrigued.
Do you think you would have been more like, because you're always intrigued, is that because it was so episodic? Like, do you think like, because there's probably a version of this movie that is a 7.5 hour one story, probably long form type of thing? Because like each story you could kind of start and finish, and then you're on to the next one. Do you think it would have been better if it was, or like more intriguing or easier to follow if it was, I don't know, more cohesive instead of broken up, or we like the way it is now? Because I think I like the way it is now. But I'm wondering what the flip side of the coin would be.
I liked it this way because I feel like once you got the next title card, in my mind I could kind of like reset, like okay, that section was its own thing. What was that title? What did that mean? How did that apply to what happened there? And it kind of helped me like break it down a little more. Where if it was just going straight through, obviously that wouldn't change the viewing experience. But I think as far as like how you would understand each scene would be a little more difficult.
Yeah. Wow. Art, Yeah.
It's a lot of movie, but
cinema.
So no, like I said, I feel like again, I got a lot more out of this than I expected to. Like like I said, I watch, there are 3.5 hour movies where I'm just like, oh, can this please end? And I never felt that. Granted, I wasn't watching it straight through. No. But there was never a point like, I didn't have to. I've had to watch 3-hour movies where I'm like, okay, 15 minutes, I'm taking a break. Like I said, I had to sit down the last 2 days and really get through the rest of it because I didn't have a lot of time. It wasn't hard for me to do that. Like it wasn't a challenge. I didn't feel like I was doing work like I do with a lot of movies half the length that I do sometimes.
I mean, Payson, where was the breaks for you? You said you watched and they said like there were parts where there's normally a break. Do you remember where those were by chance? I'm just curious, like, because
the first break was right before we got into the big doctor scene.
Okay.
And the second break is right after the cat scene.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're sort of like the breaks are spaced out over like 2.5 hours. But yeah, I'm just with Kirk where like I very rarely was getting bored, and I think this was really, really well done. And the fact that it is 7 hours of movies, I think the fact that you can say that I think is really, really should be commended.
I agree. Well, we talk about the length a lot. But the length and the mundanity of it like plays so well. I think it's like one of the final scenes of like the doctor returning back home and not realizing that everybody is gone from like everywhere, and he's back to taking his notes like of how he was doing that and he can't tell that like there's been a cataclysmic shift because this village was dead anyway. Like the fact that he does is like such a good, I don't know, sort of cap to the whole thing of just like of this situation and stuff. So I love a movie where an ending really just like I don't know drives a point home. I'm sure movies do that in general, so I'm not saying like, oh, it's a revolutionary thing that a movie uses its ending to say something important. But I thought this one was very effective.
Well, just how it like kind of starts where it ends where it started. I mean, it gives you the like purgatory feeling where like this is just going to keep going on. Like this isn't going to end.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have anything else to comment on before we give our final judgment on this one?
Did that manor not have a bathroom? Why was that guy peeing against the wall? Was that anything?
The plumbing situation didn't seem great. I know there was one scene where the guy, he did have a toilet, but he had to pour the water into it.
Yeah, so he didn't want to do that. He just this corner works better.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it did feel like kind of, out of time to me when you see a truck or you see a TV or something. You're like, oh yeah, this isn't 1930.
Right? Or when they say like "fuck you," when they're like, I'm just like, oh, that takes me out of it when it said that. I was like, this is not an older movie,
Yeah. All right. Okay. Satantango, guys. Here we go. We're gonna give it our final judgment here in 3, 2, 1.
Ooh.
All right. I'm going to say yes just because I feel like I said, am I going to give this movie 5 stars? Probably not. Would it be on my personal top 100? No. But I feel like it does enough. Like I feel like if I'm going to give like one super long, heavy, artsy, pretentious movie a pass to be on this list, this is going to be the one. So I will give this a thumbs up, and I'll because I think it does a lot of worthy stuff. That like this is the best. Like they talk about movies like this, like those art house movies, and like oh god, they're so boring, they're so long, they're this and that. This is like the antithesis. If somebody's going to complain about this, I would show them at least some of this movie and say, hey, it can be done well. Anybody else want to comment on their choice?
See, that's my problem. I would show them some of this movie and show that it would be done well. I still think that there are enough parts of it that I'm like, you're dragging this on for way too long. Mm-hmm. I don't care about all of the characters as much as I do about some specific characters. And I just think that while there are amazing elements to it, beautiful elements to it, as a cohesive piece, it doesn't necessarily come together for me.
I mean, I'd mix.
Yeah. I was going to go off that. Bar, respectfully, stop being such an old man. Respectfully, I'm kidding. No. I do see where Bar is coming. Where maybe not everything does come together, but I think the scope that Bellatar does have with this film, the fact that it is so effective as is, I think is the reason why I would say, while I'm in Kirk's shoes of like, it would not make my list, I have no issues with it being on the top 100. Like, there are certain movies where I'm like, really, this is what we're going to be celebrating as like one of the 100 greatest films? And I'm like, okay. This one, I'm like, no, I completely understand where this is.
Yeah, because to me, I see it as a successful endeavor, and probably the most successful thing of getting us into the viewpoints of these characters and how lost and just mundane their life and existence has become, and like just how, because they have nothing in their lives and everything is just sort of bad. And I think this is a great the length and the longness of it and the repetitive nature like fits that so well, to the point where it's like, will I ever watch this again? Absolutely not. Like I'm not going to watch it again. It's like there is no part of it. It's like, this is really interesting. Oh, I want to view these scenes. Like,
come on,
come on, on a Friday night, like eat an edible, see what
tear
happens.
It up a bit.
Yeah, but do I think it's effective? Do I think everything that it does that drives me mad watching that is like the point of the movie? Yes. And does it do it so well? Yes. So I think that's why it belongs on the list.
All right. Okay, guys, we did it. Give yourselves a round of applause. That's something we accomplished. No one could ever take this away from you.
Look at how we bonded. Okay.
But that is going to be our show because we did have a longer movie this week. I didn't want to burden our panel too much. So we are going to call it a night after that. Join us next week. I don't have my list of movies in front of me. So this is subject to change, or next month, I should say. But next month, we are going to be talking about A Matter of Life and Death, Modern Times, Celine and Jolie Go Boating, and Spirited Away. So we're going to get some Ghibli stuff. So, after this one was kind of a chore. Next episode, we'll have a little treat for you. I believe we're going to be joined by Brooklyn Vale. He's going to come on and talk to us about some movies. So, Jacoby, thank you very much for being here. Bar and Payson, as always. If anybody has anything else going on they want to talk about, feel free to fill us in right now.
No, wow, way to highlight that we don't have anything, Kurt. Wow.
All right, well, good.
If you haven't watched it yet, watch Mayhem at the Multiplex 8. Some really, really great matches. 4 awesome matchups. Dylan versus Jake. The Future versus Judgment City. Are You Rushing versus Are You Dragging? Plus the first ever Blockbuster Brawl match with yours truly down here. Delco Boys. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here tonight. And thank you all for watching. We will see you next month.
Have a great night.